Hello everyone, my name is Ibrahim, and today we want to talk about how we can translate complex lyrics using Skopos theory. So before we cut into the analysis, let me introduce you to my friend first. So there's only three of us. First is Muhammad Tegar Syachputra with the student number 063. Second is Muhammad Faizal Rochman with student number 145, and the third member is me, Muhammad Azriel Ibrahim, with the student number 146. So, have you ever heard a lyric that said exactly how you felt, but you weren't sure how to say it in another language? That's what makes song translation both fascinating and difficult. Today, I'll talk about how we can translate emotionally complex lyrics using Skopos theory. A translation approach focuses on purpose. We'll focus on song Cutting My Fingers Off by Turnover, a dream pop track filled with poetic imagery and emotional tension, and explore how its lyrics can be translated meaningfully into Indonesian.
To make you go, to make you go, I never wanted to make you go. Well, you might be a stranger now, but I just wanted to let you know that I meant what I said. And every dream I've ever had been of myself. And every dream I've ever had been of a better you instead of my summer. Losing you was like cutting my fingers off. And even with that summer, I thought you would rather cut my fingers off.
So, what is Cutting My Fingers Off? Cutting My Fingers Off is from Turnover's 2015 album Peripheral Vision. The band started as a pop-punk group but shifted into a more atmospheric, introspective sound, often labeled as dream pop or emo revival. The song deals with emotional numbness, longing, and loss expressed through abstract and poetic lyrics. These characteristics make it a rich text for translation analysis. So, what is Skopos theory? Skopos theory was developed by Hans Firmer in the late 70s. The word skopos comes from Greek, meaning purpose. Firmer believed that translation should be guided by its intended function, not by strict word-for-word accuracy. In other words, the translator should first ask, why am I translating this? Who is the audience? What do I want them to feel or understand? For example, if you're translating a song for a cover, you focus on rhythm and rhyme. But if you're translating it for poetry readers, you prioritize emotional tone and meaning.
In this presentation, our goal is to translate the song into Indonesian for readers, not for performance or subtitles. That means we don't need to preserve the rhythm or rhyme. We care about conveying meaning and emotional depth. Let's imagine our reader, a 20 years old Indonesian indie fan, reading the lyrics online while listening. They may not be fluent in English, but are looking to understand the emotions behind the words. Metaphor of pain. The lyric is, losing you is like cutting my fingers off. This lyric is metaphorical. The loss of relationship is compared to physically cutting off fingers, extremely painful and personal. Fingers represent connection and control. Losing them is symbolic of emotional helplessness. A literal translation would be, kehilanganmu seperti memotong jari-jariku sendiri. But this sounds violent or confusing in Indonesian. If our purpose is emotional clarity, a better version might be, kehilanganmu seperti kehilangan bagian dari diriku. This keeps the pain but softens the image, adapting it to the target audience while maintaining the emotional weight. The next one is geometric thinking. The lyric is, you always said that every thought I had was geometric. This line suggests overthinking or being emotionally closed off. It uses geometry to describe a mind that's rigid or structured in a negative way. Literal translation is, kau selalu bilang pikiranku seperti bentuk geometris. But that's not a common metaphor in Indonesia. A more natural purpose-driven version could be, kau bilang aku selalu berpikir kaku tanpa ruang untuk rasa. This makes the meaning clearer while preserving the poetic and emotional tone. Next one is dream and self-reflection. The lyric is, and every dream I've ever had has been of myself. This lyric shows self-reflection or maybe self-obsession or loneliness. Even in dreams, the speaker is alone, seeing only himself. A literal translation is, dan setiap mimpi yang pernah kumiliki selalu tentang diriku sendiri. A more poetic and Skopos-based on version is, setiap mimpi yang kumiliki selalu tentang diriku sendiri. The added pause at the end emphasizes the sense of isolation.
Okay, so here we are now. You're absolutely wonder why Skopos theory matters. If we stick to literal translation, we might preserve the words, but we can lose the meaning. For example, the metaphor might confuse readers or audience. The emotion might feel distant, and also the style might not match with the culture. Here, Skopos theory gives us freedom to adapt, not just translate it. It helps us preserve the feeling of the songs, which is more important than its exact words when translating art. And for the conclusion, what we have learned, the songs Cutting My Fingers Off is packed with poetic expressions. By using Skopos theory, we learn to focus on the reader's experience, translate the meaning and tone, not just a vocabulary, and also adapt image to fit the target culture. This makes the translation not only accurate, but meaningful and impactful. Music is more than words. It's emotion. Skopos theory helps translators protect that emotion across language. And there is several web that we use to make our translation project. Thank you for listening.